Jason,
Danny,
how are you? Because I've seen there's been. I don't think you're okay.
I don't even know what happens after something like this happens. But yeah, I'm just driving up north, going to see some family. And then, man, this like, these Dutch tourists, right? Were just admiring Scotland's beautiful view.
God damn these Dutch tourists.
Right, it wasn't even the most beautiful part of the A9, by the way. So they had a lot to look forward to. That guy probably missed it all. Yeah, just went right in the back of me.
Didn't miss you though.
It did miss me. Good God.
And you had the pup in the back in that, eh?
That was the scary thing, man. Yeah, that was the like initially when it happened, you kind of like, okay, right, get to the side of the road. Shit, the dog, are you okay? But she was fine, man. Like she hates going in the car in general.
Oh, she's gonna hate it even more.
Oh, she hates it even more now. Like she's proper diggy heels wherever she goes now. If I get anywhere near the car, she's like, no. So but she'd been in the car like 2 days before, just getting her nails trimmed, which she hates as well. So, so either vet or car crashes that she goes in the car for. So,
yeah, that's rough though.
I know.
So what speed was he going?
Oh, I didn't even know. I know I pulled up to like slow moving traffic, but I was going like 30 miles an hour before I got to that bit. So, I don't even know. But it's bloody loud when it happens. And yeah, like, I was saying, okay, if you get hit, to be fair, I got my courtesy car delivered yesterday.
Yeah.
And the courtesy guy, the courtesy drive delivery guy, he was like, oh, that'll be whiplash, that. And I was like, man, I don't even know what that feels like. But all I know is I'm just like, like sore head, stiff back and stuff. So I'm taking it easy. Yeah. Taking it easy. We've got these nice comfy chairs to kind of ride me through it. But
well, we're glad you're still here.
Yeah, heading to A&E after this to get the once over. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So did you just need to call the police on it?
I didn't even know what to do. Like the time when we both got out of the cars and we were like, right, what do we do here? So like to the details and stuff. I just called insurance. Actually, what I did is I typed in my insurance company into Google. Yeah. And pressed the first phone number that I got, and then went through the whole process. And then afterwards, I was like, was that even my insurance company? And it wasn't. It was a sponsored ad.
Of course it was.
So I'd signed
surprised it wasn't you. We were sponsored ads.
I know. So I had signed a contract with an independent claims company. And I was like, oh no. So I had to like go through the whole process to cancel with them. They were not wanting to let me go at all. They were like, you've done nothing wrong. It'll affect your no claims. It'll affect your policy. And I was like, yeah, but they've told my insurance company told me it wouldn't, so it's fine. But I didn't call the police or anything. The police turned up.
Speaking of police, we have a previous policeman on the pod here with us today. Maybe James here, Mr. James Tracey, can tell us if that was the right advice to just get you off the road or not. James, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. I did wonder how you were going to do that. Very good. Credit where it's due. Firstly, are you all right? That's. I'm sorry, I'm delaying you go to A&E. That's terrible.
It's all good. It's all good.
I feel bad now.
He told me last night, like, oh, I've got a great segue, and I was like, I can't think what it could possibly be. And then I was like, wait, I remember reading your website something about police. And I'm like, he wasn't a traffic cop, was he?
No. No. I'll be honest. Traffic was my least favourite discipline of all of it. It wasn't my favourite bit, and it did sound like you got somebody that probably couldn't be asked.
That was my interpretation of the situation as well. To be fair, they were like, "No, you're fine. No, you're fine. On you go."
Smoke coming for the car. You're all right.
Nothing's hanging off. You're all good. Just get out of here.
No blood. You're fine. Just keep going.
Yeah, you're still alive. It's all good.
100%. 100%.
I'm really excited to chat with you today, mate. We have actually been meaning to get you on for a wee while, so we're excited to get you on and chat all about things filmmaking. And we've got a bunch of questions for you today, as usual. Usual? My goodness, I can't speak this morning. Usual. Jase will pitch in and try to steer us off the questions, and I'll bring us back to time. But yeah, really looking forward to chatting to you, man. First of all, for people who don't know who you are, can you give us a little bit of an intro as to your business, who you are, what you do, maybe a bit of background about how you got into wedding filmmaking as well.
Yeah, so I'm James. I've been full time in the weddings for 13 years. No, I've been in weddings 13 years. I've been full time for about 12. I started as a wedding photographer.
All right, well,
way back in 2012, when it was much simpler times. Everything was far easier than it seems to be now. But I'd come off the back of a 10-year police career, hence the intro. I was a response PC and a response sergeant then for half the career. So basically, if you dialed 999, you got me, which I think for a lot of people who've worked with me, they find that quite scary. But I was actually all right. I'm not going to toot my horn too much, but I was okay. It was the one career where I actually thought I actually knew what I was doing all the time. This, I'm just, like everybody, winging it as we go along, just making up the rules. That one I did seem to know what I was doing. But there was a lot of politics, a lot of things changing. Lots of the rules and regs were changing around how long we had to work, pension contributions, really boring stuff, but things that were making it less and less appealing to do for another 20, 25 years at that point. And I just got married myself, so 2012 we got married. So obviously we've been through, I think a lot of people end up falling into weddings just after they've got married themselves, don't they? And I'd always had a bit of an interest in photography. I'd done it at college. I'd bought myself, when I got promoted to sergeant, I bought myself a Nikon DSLR. I was Uncle Bob at everyone's weddings, and people were saying like, your photos are all right. And I was thinking, I want to retire at 55. I'll do a few weddings just to keep my hand in. And then they shifted the retirement age and made the pension worse. So I was like, my wife was like, why don't you just try? Like, do a couple of weddings, see how you feel about it. Went and bought some more kit, got some, proper lenses, a proper body. And then she sent an email around her office and got me somebody in the Leeds office was on Don't Tell the Bride, if you remember it was a BBC Three show at the time. And like my first ever wedding, I'm shooting alongside a camera crew on a 15-hour shoot. And I had no idea what I'd done. Never second shot, other than just shooting a few at my friends' weddings, I had no idea what I was doing. And I thought the pictures were all right. Like, they weren't dreadful. I mean, the couple were really good looking, which I think made me look better. And we were in a really fancy, like your first wedding's usually in a working men's club, isn't it? Mine was at I think it's Stapleford Park in Leicester, which apparently is where the footballers get married. So it was, it was all on my side. It made me look really good. And of course, you've been on TV, so you must be good. And I managed to book 20. I've been on TV for 4 seconds, but I managed to book 20 jobs for the year after. So I had a choice there. I didn't have enough leave. I either had to quit or cancel some weddings, so I quit.
Wow.
Which was kind of then I had the Chandler fear, you've just got to make it work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just marketed the ass off it on Facebook, as it was back then, leveraged all my friends. I was around that age that lots of people who I knew were getting married and their friends were getting married. So I just managed to get real lucky real quick. Build up a pretty big business and went full time.
That's a really big decision though, because I think if you're maybe someone who has got into it and it's maybe not or try to think of the way to word this, being in the police force, that's a career. It's a career path. It's it's a big thing to get in, and then obviously like you said, generally, I don't know obviously what it's like now, but generally the kind of viewpoint is it's a good career to get, good pension, you're pretty much sorted. Once you're there, you're kind of there. So for you to uproot and leave that must have been a really, really big decision for you to even consider and then obviously then go through.
Yeah, there was many times you wobble and I'm not going to do it and I am going to do it. Yeah. And I think if they'd never changed the pension, it would have been really hard to leave, because this is really boring old people talk. But the pension was really good when I joined. Yeah. So you kind of signed up to 55, which isn't a million miles away now. But I would have, had a really good income. They shifted that. They changed all the rules. We didn't think they could. And suddenly it wasn't quite as appealing. And when you sat down and looked at the numbers, you were like, well, working 24/7 shifts, night shifts, 10, 12 hour. I was one of the people that I was level 2 riot trained as it was. So I was a divisional supervisor that could cover like marches, football matches, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I got my weekends off cancelled all the time. And there comes a point when you're like, we want to have a family at some point. I'm missing out on weekends, the irony. And I then decided perhaps I should just give it a go. And I think it sort of like by accident forced me into it. I could have perhaps gone part-time for a bit longer, but there was also a lot of pressure at the time in the police about having second jobs. They were really not keen on it.
Right.
And there's a big thing about working in licensed premises when you're a cop, which obviously as weddings, they are.
Yeah.
So you had to apply every time I did a wedding. It was becoming a bit of a faff. And I think then I'd always sort of felt maybe I had a business in me. My dad ran his own business, so I'd grown up sort of seeing him, the challenges that he went through. And once I started doing it, I just really enjoyed that. And then I started to get more and more miserable going to work. And my wife was like, I don't think she could stand me anymore at that point. She was like, just quit. Like, we've got enough to live on beans and toast till your first wedding in 3 months.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 months to get your finger out and make it work. So I quit just before Christmas because I always used to work Christmas. I was the guy that would like, well, I've not got kids, I'll work. And then I quit like 22nd of December, had Christmas off, got into January. And of course, what you don't realise when you're not in it is January is quite a good time for booking, for wedding photographers to book. So I managed to book a ton of work then, and then pretty much my first year, 2014, I think I did like 46, 47 weddings. Wow. I was dead cheap.
Yeah.
I wasn't charging good money or anything like that, but I got crazy numbers. And then you just snowball then to put prices up and just get through to I think I was doing like 45, 50 photos a year for like the first 5 or 6 years, which I thought was like, amazing. Like how easy is this?
Regardless of being like cheaper or not, like a lot of people would still struggle to even get close to that amount.
It was like there was a 3-digit number people could call and you turn up to their wedding.
I mean, I did have some run-ins early doors. I did turn up at a wedding where I'd locked the best man up, and his dad recognised me and remembered from when he was younger. Shit. That was awkward.
Oh, man, he's back.
It must have like PTSD.
Yeah, it was like, do you remember him? And the best man was like, it was a bit of an edgy wedding. I think it's the nicest way I can put it. Local to me, where I used to police, and I made a decision then that I'd probably try and avoid doing weddings around there, and I put the prices up fairly quickly after
I
that.
wonder, as a photographer, your first experience being like for doing a wedding and don't tell the bride is there, was that your perception of what videography was? Like a film crew turning up and
No, I knew that was crazy. There was like four camera ops, sound guy, director, producers. We were 2 hours late because they were doing so much stuff for the bride.
Yeah.
The registrars only stayed because it was a TV wedding. Yeah. There was no way they'd have hung around.
I always wondered if the producer would have like a lot of control over you as well on that day when it comes to that.
What to basically say?
Just because obviously they need to if you're going to take pictures, we're going to allow you like this amount of time to get pictures because we need the bride and groom for this or something like that.
Essentially, it was they were paying, so it was sort of their day. They were very friendly and there were like no issues with the team, but I was also mindful that this is their show, they're paying for it all, they're going to need to do all these different things. So I just shot it fully documentary, and I got given 5 minutes for couple stuff, and they came to take them after 2. So we didn't get... And then BBC would contact me going, have you got a stills photo for the cover on the website? Because you did some couple stuff. I'm like, I had 2 minutes. But... yeah, it was fine. It was a long day. The first dance wasn't until midnight. They were meant to get married at 2, got married at 4. It wasn't until midnight. But I enjoyed it. So I just thought nothing's going to be as hard as this.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if that would have been more difficult for like a seasoned photographer to have to be in that situation.
Because they'd just be like, this is just fucked.
Yeah, but because it was your first experience, you're kind of like, right, I'm just going to document this in essentially the easiest way possible. But like,
roll with the punches.
Someone who has some sort of expectation that I need like 25 minutes of the bride and groom. 2 minutes.
I know some photographers would be losing their shit.
They'd lose it.
They lose their shit.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't want to have been an experience. Like now knowing what I know, I wouldn't do another one. They were, it was fine because I had no frame of reference. But now you just know that the client, they're on a TV show. They kind of know what it's about. But you wouldn't have got what I ended up getting later on. So
100%.
But it was good. It helped me marketing.
Yeah,
you know,
as
say
you know,
you're
Don't
on
Tell the
TV.
Bride. I
Yeah.
mean, that's like.
I mean,
that's
we've got a photographer in Scotland, John Clark, who he was actually a groom on. I think it was voted the best "Don't Tell the Bride"
It definitely
episode.
is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's the one where what is it?
She
again?
skydives.
Yeah, she skydives.
And then they have it in a bowling club and it's all decorated like Christmas.
and he gets the nose cake. The nose cake. Like honestly, it's hilarious. But yeah, he's done quite well out of like using that as like marketing and stuff.
Every
like that
wedding
as well.
you go to, the speeches always say, "Oh, by the way, our photographer, you might recognize him. He was on Don't Tell the Bride as the biggest asshole in the UK." He's so funny.
Still happily married to her though. To be fair,
I could always tell whenever it was repeated because my website, if you ever had Google Analytics all linked into your website, it just melted down. It had like just hundreds and hundreds of hits when I was like, oh, I must have been on TV that week. That must have been the one.
No, that's class though.
That's brilliant.
Like, yeah, it's like a great. Wait, getting that is like one of your first ones as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
so good.
Because a bunch of the celebrants in Scotland have been on Love Is Blind or Is it Love Is Blind?
It's one of those ones.
Yeah,
Paul Browett was on it.
And Tasha the Celebrant as well was on it too.
Yeah.
And I was working with someone in London, a celebrant in London who had been on it as well, and they're just saying it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
As soon as they go on, just floods of it. So it's great. Yeah, it's a great experience, but I can imagine it's just not the norm.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all. So to go back to your first question, sorry, when you said like how did I get into video? Because I obviously then as you're starting to do all right, I'm working with more and more videographers. I'm getting to see the same faces regularly, and they were becoming more popular. Certainly from like 2016 onwards, it was like 1 in 5, and it started to become like 1 in 2, 1 in 3. And I was just chatting. I always had like an interest in that side of it. I think like the filming side, obviously I like TV and cinema and stuff like that. So and I went to design college. I should have gone to the media course next to it, but that's another story. And we got chatting about money because that's what you know. And I realised that they were all getting paid decent salary, decent day rates. And I'm like, well, these clients that I'm booking are booking this sort of client, this sort of videographer at this cost. So I went on. I went on Philip White's course, the 2-day one that he did at the time in Lancaster. And then I decided off the back of that, nah, not for me. It's like way harder. Like, look at all that editing and stress. But then it nibbled away at me all that was 2017, and it nibbled away at me all year. And then 2018, I thought, do you know what? I'll do a freebie. So there's John Wilson. I don't know if he's a Manchester-based guy.
John Boy.
So John Boy does just film and photos. So he took me along to one of his weddings, and I filmed it all. And he gave his little crash course, and then he sort of critiqued it, and he was like really complimentary. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have a go. So I just did a load of freebies that year. Got some pretty big mistakes out of the way, because I think you need to do that, don't you? And then that was the point then that anybody who's ever heard me talk about anything, I went and took on some mentoring. I went and Jeff Wood, who's like the guy whose work I admire the most.
Yeah.
I went and did a year with Jeff one-to-one where, we'd spend a day a month where he'd very politely and kindly tear you apart and then build you back up. And as each month got by, the tearings down got less and the building ups got a little bit more. And I got to like go and experience one of his weddings out in Italy, which was very nice, because he does the sort of the high-end luxury world. But really, it was learning how to edit, how to not even the shooting so much. It was how to build a story and stuff. And I just got totally hooked. And the original plan was to do 50-50. That went out the window. It was like I just want to film. Yeah. And that was it. It kind of again went from there. I just started sticking stuff out there and followed the kind of rules that I'd followed. Like SEO'd everything, and it just kind of took off. And obviously, you've got to keep reinventing yourself, don't you? Because the whole marketing world changes on it's so different now to when I started video like 7 years ago. But it's kind of went all right. So so I landed here.
When did you photograph your last wedding then?
Last one was I think it was the back end of 2023, so it wasn't that long ago.
Okay, right.
It wasn't that long ago. It was like October 2023. It was. I mean, they booked me like. I think they booked me like 2-3 years before, and then it was one of them that just kept bouncing back.
You're just
then,
waiting for it to end.
Yeah.
yeah, it just kept shifting, and then they landed on a date in 22, and then their venue got turned into an asylum-seeking hotel, so they had to change again.
Oh wow.
So it was kind of. I didn't see that one coming for excuses why it got pushed back.
Yeah.
Well.
So we ended up in 2023 in a new venue, and we got that one done, and then sort of stuck to filming. And it's fine when I look back now. Like photographs, they're harder on the day because you're in control of the people a bit more. There's a bit more expectation that you're going to be involved running it. You have the pressure of the couple stuff. But the editing is like, what a breeze. The editing is a comparison.
Yeah.
I know there's photographers who'll be like swearing now at the
They
audio,
know.
but
They know.
I've been there. It's much, and I didn't use any of the AI that they've all got. All that stuff, everyone's telling me it doesn't. Like, I know it's not game changing, but it just takes a little bit of the time off. So, yeah,
Yes.
ours is a bit more time consuming.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your take on like hybrid shooting? Then, do you think that's something that has ever interested you, or do you think it's just too difficult? One discipline is enough.
For me personally, I thought I'll give it a go. I did one wedding, and honestly, I quite enjoy weddings because they're quite stress free. Like no one's tried to stab me, no one's tried to run me over with a car, no one spat at me. So they're quite stressful compared to my former life. They're quite a nice job. That was one of the most stressful experiences I've ever had in my entire life. Trying to do photo and video at the same time. My brain just couldn't separate the two.
Yeah.
And it couldn't decide which was more important. Now, I've done a couple of workshops where I've sort of like taught people how like the basics of filming, kind of thinking they'd move into doing what I did and offer full films. And actually what most were doing is looking to come and do hybrid. And I've said to them on each and every one, some of you will be able to do it. Some of you will just be able to slot into it. It's fine. You can do it. Some of you will be like me and just think it's the worst thing that you've ever done in your entire life. I think it's hard. I think it is a compromise.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you have to sort of give something up, and I can't. I can't accept that bit is inferior to what it could be. Mm-hmm. But there are people who do it and do it well.
Yeah.
And fair play to them because
I've given it a go as well, and it was probably one of the worst days I've ever had at a wedding. It was just your second question.
You had to...
Well, that's the one I had to step up because the photographer didn't turn up, and I said, "Look, I can offer you this right now. I can give you a great video, or I can give you an okay video, an okay photo. Like, what would you like?" And they're like, "Oh, we'll take the photo." I'm like, "Shit."
Talk about all-time backfires.
I know, right? Yeah, so I tried it. Yeah. I just second guessed myself at every step I was making.
Yeah.
I think something needs to give, doesn't it? Because then you're always going to be like, right, in this moment, what am I doing? Video or photo? And I think think how easy it is to make mistakes on the day when you just need to focus on video, and then just chuck in a completely other discipline into the mix.
Yeah, you'd get to the edit and
Not
think,
for me.
if only I had something else here, and you're like, I don't, because I've only got stills of that moment. It's it was frustrating.
Yeah. And I think most hybrid photographers market it well in that they explain that, don't they?
Yeah.
They'll go out and say to people, you're not going to get the best of everything. And actually in their hybrid videos, certainly the guys that came on the course that I did, they've accepted that there's bits that just can't be in there.
Yeah.
So they're almost like 2-3 minute, just like
montage
bits of the day. For some people that just, there are people out there that just don't want videography, are they? They don't want all that extra thing or the cost. So hybrid works for that. I mean, obviously it is a bit of a problem for us guys as well. Then when people who are good photographers start doing these hybrid videos, people go, "Oh, well, that's enough." And you're like, "Oh, I've sort of shot myself in the foot."
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely people who are really good at it, but I think it comes down to what their deliverables are. I think most hybrid photographers would probably give you like a 5-minute highlight video, whereas with your packages, they're a bit more extensive. You've got like the 3-minute teaser trailer, and then the 10-minute or the 20-minute feature film as well. So like you just don't have the room to kind of give up time to capture that footage, if that makes sense. So
certainly not.
No,
solo.
totally.
Certainly not solo.
Have you seen Lumix have just announced another new camera, the S12?
Well, you know I have.
This camera is chock full of features that wedding videographers like you are going to love, including 5.1K open gate at 50 frames a second for the first time.
Incredible slow-mo footage at 100 frames a second in 4K.
Best in class image stabilization.
And also a new and improved hybrid phase detect autofocus.
You can get your hands on this camera by loaning it for up to 48 hours. Just visit the Lumix store.
And if you do decide that this is the camera for you, remember to use code TWVP at the Lumix store for 10% off. That's right, 10% off this brand new camera that we believe is the perfect camera for wedding filmmakers.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk about your packages. I think a lot of videographers will do this where they'll scour websites and they'll see what everyone else is offering. And that's kind of the structure. And every videographer does it differently. Every videographer names their products differently as well, which makes it confusing for couples when like, what's a feature film, what's a highlight film, etc. But your films are much more focused around the feature than anything else. Your packages, I would say. A lot of people offer shorter films. Whereas yours are focused more along the feature. So could you talk us through your packages and what was the decision behind designing them like that?
I, like anything with packages, they're always under review. They might change because the demands of the market change, don't they? And I think I've got to be alive to that. I think I just went off I work with James Ray. I don't know if you know James or you've come across James's work. He's a Manchester-based guy. I used to work with James a lot. He was the guy that I recommended before I switched. So I obviously took loads of his work away from him. It's terrible. Oops, sorry, James. He's doing fine. And I basically asked what he did, and he was like, 2 to 3 minute trailer, 20-minute feature, full ceremony, full speeches. And I was like, that sounds good. I think I'd have that. And then when I was being mentored by Jeff, he was like, that kind of sounds about right. That's where I landed. So I then looked at other people who were doing like 5-6 minutes. That's it. And you get the so many speeches. And you just look, and there's so many different ways of doing it. There's 10-minute films, 5-6 minutes. I just landed on the 20 because it just seems that something that it's like, I think Rue said it when I did Coda with him. It's like your accountability film. In that 20 minutes, I can get everything that matters from the day in there, laid up with the speech and ceremony. So they're like driving it underneath. Yeah. Because I don't like put big blocks of it. I just put cutaways to a speech, cutaways to bits of the ceremony, to like the important bits. And it all builds towards basically the kiss. Like I'm building the first half of that film towards the kiss, and then the next half is just like as much energy as I can from the day, all the way through to the dancing. And that is where I just make sure that when they watch it, that everything that matters to them is more or less featured. Whoever spoke gets a bit of airtime in it. Then they get the full ceremony, the full speeches. So anything I didn't get in there, they've got all that. The 3-minute is the one that I was like, that's where you can sort of let loose and do you a bit more creative stuff, try and sort of shift time a little bit sometimes, focus on, the more creative aspect of it. But the thing now is 3 minutes too long. I just sometimes feel like in the modern world we're in, 3 minutes feels like a lifetime when everyone's consuming 30, 60 seconds on Instagram. And so I have added in the 1 minute Instagram teaser, and as much as it pains me and it hurts my soul, I did flip it vertically last year. Mm-hmm. And then stuck it on Instagram, and of course it did better. So, you shrug your shoulders. I've sort of made my peace with it in that I got always a teaser, and I'm not showing everything. Yeah. So they're getting that little bit in the middle, and when they get the film, there's more to it. So I can justify it to myself. And kind of anything goes with them, doesn't it? You can do it complete reverse order, put anything in them, and it doesn't really matter. It's whatever gets eyes on the prize.
Mash up all the best clips.
Yeah, I did see that your Instagram had vertical, shorter versions of your teasers, and I was wondering if that was something, like if it was a separate product or not. It is interesting about the whole vertical versus horizontal on Instagram, because I've done a bit of testing on it, and I genuinely believe it doesn't matter what the resolution is, as long as the retention is there, because I've got my biggest viewed teaser on Instagram is horizontal. So I feel like if the content is there, it shouldn't matter. Obviously, it looks better because it fills the screen.
I mean, I've done it a couple of times, once or twice, and I just hate it. I think mainly because the way that I shoot, I don't really shoot with the vertical frame in mind. Even though I've got the markers on my screen, I might as well not be there because I completely disregard them.
Yeah, I never shoot. I never shoot for Instagram.
No.
So there's clips that I love, and I think, oh god, that'd be amazing. They just don't fit. They don't work.
Well, yeah, because we watched obviously like a lot of your kind of like films that were on your website, and you've got a lot of tight shots there. Like you've got quite a lot of tight shots that I know straight away are never ever going to make it to Instagram because it can't. Yeah. Otherwise, it's just going to be a frame of someone's skin. Like it's not going to tell anything.
Exactly. I can't remember who I was looking at the other day. Somebody who's doing lots of weddings, and I looked, and they were doing it in the old 4:3.
Yeah.
So they were doing them on 4:3, and I quite like that because it fills quite a lot of the screen.
Yeah, that's really trendy at the minute.
Yeah, so I was like, maybe I should do 4:3, or I might try, because I think the views, it's only because I've ended up collaborating. That's the only reason they've become more popular. Yeah. I don't think collaboration existed when I was doing them the other way. So I agree. I don't think the format matters. It's the content. If it's exciting, fast-paced, and it keeps eyes on the screen, it'll do just as well, whether it's vertical, horizontal, flipped upside down, inverted, whatever.
Yeah.
Instagram doesn't care, does it, as long as eyes are on the screen?
I mean, Christ, look at that trend that happened recently where it was like 5,000 by...
that can get to fuck.
That was everywhere.
I'm telling you right now, that can just take a run and jump and get to fuck. Nobody needs it.
Someone beat me to it. I cannot remember now who it was, but they put like the very thin line down the middle of the frame, the whole frame, so testing Instagram's new trend, like just releasing a whole teaser like that. It was funny.
Honest to God, absolutely.
I'm trying not to be negative about the industry. I've been speaking with Andy Keir a lot, and mindset, as he was talking about all this stuff. That one came out, and I was like, that can get in the bin straight away. That is just ridiculous. I'm not playing. Get out.
No, it's almost like that one was just made to like offend, almost, just so that it would get it was like the Frankie Boyle of aspect ratios.
It was just stupid, and it felt stupid, and it looked stupid, and I didn't understand. And if you were jumping on it, I'm like, I'm sorry, no, stop following trends. Some of them are terrible. Stop it.
Yeah. And that is definitely one of them. So yeah, please, none of that. I think, was it not in preparation for
glasses? I think it's something to do with glasses.
Yeah.
Like content being visible on AR glasses now, so it can be widescreen over your whole.
Nah.
Get me out. Nah. Just let me off.
Yeah. But yeah, no, when we were watching your films, we did obviously notice there's like an abundance of like really, really tight shots. Or are you kind of like in terms of like your actual camera and lens setup, then I'm assuming an 85 is in there?
I have one, but I don't use it. I shoot 50.
Oh, is that 50? So you're just getting really close?
Yeah, I just get real close.
Okay.
Just like, hey, we're all going to be friends, so I'm just going to stand real tight. I do use the. I don't shoot on an A7, S3 like everybody else that shoots Sony. I know you. I know I'm swearing on here. I know. Sorry.
All right, don't worry.
Sorry to the sponsor. You bleep this out.
You don't use Sony. That's all we need. So.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I shoot on the A7 IV, just the hybrid one.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't shoot slow motion, so everything I shoot through the day, like aside from couple stuff, is not in slow motion. So I don't need, because that slow motion on the A7 IV crops in.
Yeah.
So I use the crop in function because the A7 S3 doesn't have that. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I can push into about 82mm. So I've sort of got two lens choices on one lens, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So sometimes it is like the equivalent of an 82, 83mm.
Yeah. Okay. So is that because you've seen you're using the gimbal as well for some shots? Is that right? No.
Or
is that when you've got a second?
I use about I use a gimbal for about 5 or 6 shots a wedding.
Yeah.
So just like anything. So I'll have a 20mm on the gimbal. So it's anything that needs like some wide action. Entering the room.
Yeah.
Walking from A to B if you like. If say if we're in a city centre and we're moving, we can capture a bit more. But for the rest of the day, it's like 90% handheld.
50.
Manual focus 50mm.
That's right, okay.
try and keep it simple. I can't trust autofocus. I'm old school. I come from the photography where you put the camera up to your eye and you click the button.
To be fair,
and
I do that. I find it just makes it more stable because you've just got that other anchor point, So
yeah. I'm locked into another position, or I'll sit really tight. I mean, I'm not great. I do have big wobbles like everybody does, but
power of editing.
Yeah,
gotta love it.
Yeah.
No, it was. I was just curious. I figured it would. I figured just with how tight some of the shots are. Because I really like it, and you can, I guess there's that Philip White. That's kind of rubbed off on, I guess, quite a lot of people with the whole nice tight shots, and it's nice. It's not something that I do a hell of a lot of personally, but it's nice when you see it done well. It's just when I seem to do it, I'm just that looks a bit shit. I don't know if it's just too tight, but it's done really well, and I like how for some of the shots, because I remember one of the films that we watched, I can't remember the name of the couple, but it's the shots in the car. And it's really...
Oh, yeah.
But it's there's a lot of kind of camera movement and stuff, and it just, you feel it just makes you feel like you're there, whereas for a lot of the shots that I do, I'm kind of looking to eradicate all that, and I want nice and smooth shots, but it's so nice and refreshing seeing another style of filmmaking that's really immersive for that reason, including some of the camera shake and stuff. I really, really like that film as well. We were talking about it. I don't know if you know the one where it starts off and I think you've got the side of the kind of bride's face, and then you go right into the rest of the day, but then you finish back on her at the end. So and I said this to Jase at the time. So was that to almost be that they were leaving at post wedding, remembering what had happened? And then, I love that. That was so good.
Yeah, it's kind of... there's a lot of this is very heavily inspired by Jeff's work. So I've always loved Jeff Wood's stuff. He was the first wedding videographer I ever found. I entered tour as a photographer. Yeah. So I know we'll probably come into this later. But I entered tour as a photographer, and just out of pure nosiness, I looked at the video section because it was really early when I just started. And I thought wedding videos were shit. They were the 8-hour-long... terrible things that they were back in the day, and his stuff, I couldn't get over how insanely good it was. So I've always loved what he's done and followed what he did, and hence why I then went and got mentored by him. And Jeff's always had a very sort of organic approach to the way he shoots. It's lots of tight shots, lots of camera movement as well, but only when it's sort of mirroring what's occurring on screen, if that makes sense. It's enhancing the visuals, if you like. So I've kind of taken a lot from that. So that one in there that was in France with Andy Keir, actually.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah, me and Andy did that one in France a couple of years ago. He got me the job, so I owe him that one. It's very kind of him. He had to put up with me for 4 days as well, so he did very well. No wonder he's on social media trying to get away from being a photographer. So that was a day trip. They took a day trip the day before the wedding out to this cute little village somewhere near, because they come from Portland in Oregon. And obviously France blows your mind if you come from America. So they were going and seeing all the cute stuff, and we went along, filmed it. I just thought, I'll film some bits in the car, film some bits, we'll see. And then when it came to the edit, I was like, right, we could make this because this, I mean, it's quite literal and it's a bit on the nose, but it was her dream to get married in France. Right, so right, let's do that. Let's have her in the car. Let's have a tight close up of the eye, cut away to the ceremony, and then we'll cut back to her and we'll kind of dream sequence it. Yeah. And it just bookends beginning and the end. You can see all the bits in the middle. But that bit, I did enjoy the car stuff. I liked it. Felt it felt really real. Yeah. And I know a friend of mine said, he commented straight away when he was I love all that stuff. And I think because you don't see it often, like you said, there's a lot in weddings where we try and make it look perfect. Yeah. There is this sort of pressure for it to not be shaky, handheld. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that stuff sort of stands out, but you can't do it for every wedding. No.
But
it worked there.
I thought it worked really, really well. It was really immersive. I kind of felt like I was in the car. It was just, I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really well done. And I loved that, like you said, with the book ending with her, almost like that dream sequence. I just thought it was really nice storytelling, and job well done on that one. Well done. That's
good.
funny.
Thank
Andrew
you.
Keir was on there. I didn't even I think I seen a photographer in it, but I didn't even recognise. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
In terms of, I guess, like your approach to wedding filmmaking, you've kind of touched on it a little bit there, but I think one thing that Jase and I also noticed when we were watching your films was that there was a bit of a theme, certainly in the ones that we watched, where you seem to cover like the setup of a wedding really well. Like, so what we mean by that is like you're getting a lot of maybe like the suppliers, I think there was like shots of the lady in charge of the florals was obviously like tying all the kind of like the florals to the chairs and stuff, and it was nice, it was fast paced, and but that seemed to be a recurring theme across a few of the films that we watched, and I guess that also is maybe something I certainly don't really get much of it. I'll maybe get a little bit of it maybe, but not to that degree, and I think maybe like a lot of people don't. It was just it was interesting to see your approach, and I guess we wanted to talk about like for you, why is that part important for you, and kind of like how you go about it, because I think for us, Jason and I, kind of like when we were talking about it, we're like, how do you make the decision to not be with the bride and groom and go and do that instead? So sorry, that's like probably about 3 questions in one, but
no, it's good. It's good because that does that. Yeah, you're right. That is like a big part for me. I think the way I try and describe this when I meet couples on like before their wedding, and I'll say like, I'm trying to make a wedding film. It's about you. It's it's going to be unique. All the stuff that we all say, but I want it to be interesting to somebody that doesn't know you. Somebody who's never met you. They could sit and watch this. And I equate wedding films to James Cameron's Titanic. Not that everyone dies in the end, but you know what's going to happen. You start watching Titanic, the ship's going to sink. But I tried to explain this analogy to my wife, and she was like, "Why would you pick Titanic?" and I said, "No, it's because the ship's going to sink. So like, that the couple are going to get married. Like that's a given. We know that when we watch it, we're going to get that thing at some point, which is kind of what you all come for. You come to see them get married, see the bride in the dress, that kind of stuff, see the venue. So I'm like, if I can make some intrigue or interest or get the viewer to care about that, what's coming. Essentially, I'm trying to make Jack and Rose's story out of prep. Yeah. Like I'm trying to make you care about something else before you get to the thing that you came for. Mm-hmm. So I quite like prep because I always think, I know it's not for everybody, but for me, it's one of the few times we're totally unrestricted in the wedding. Like there's no real, other than the last sort of hour, you can film what you want. I can cover whatever I'm interested in. The rest of the day is kind of like, it's got set points that you have to be at and set beats that you have to hit. But that part, I've got full control. And often, if you've got the bride and groom getting ready together, you're going to get similar things happening. So there's lots of opportunity for cross-cutting. So to match cut your way through the prep, you've got lots of things with hands where lots of things get tied. Lots of, there'll be drinks usually, there'll be laughter, there's people putting clothes up and taking them down. And there's lots of similar things happening. So you've got this opportunity to be able to match cut and jump in between groom prep and bride prep. If I can then get a third sort of story angle, which is the venue getting ready, I've got all these 3 things that are building towards this like one point that we're coming towards this. Everything's come together.
Yeah.
And I often think like, bride and groom spent years planning all this. Let's see it all get pulled together. So in terms of like, how do I decide? That's the tricky bit. Sometimes I rarely tend to sacrifice bride or groom prep for venue prep. So venue prep's the one that will get left if I can't do all 3. But usually the groom gets ready a couple of hours before dancing. It's usually 20 minutes. I don't need a long time, buttoning the shirt, doing all that stuff, having a beer, drink, whatever. That I can get done. The bride I pop in and see when I arrive, get a few initial bits when usually makeup's been done. And then I'm not overly worried about the bride until then we go back for the dress going on. Because obviously you get that tension that's building up, and that works then with the groom getting ready. In between, I'll just say to the venue, what time are you putting if it's an outdoor ceremony, what time are you putting the chairs outside? Yeah. If there's a florist there, usually again when you arrive, the florists are usually there setting up because they're there quite a bit before. So I just get like 10-15 minutes with the florist, or I'll get 10-15 minutes like on that, I think it was the Thicket Priory one you've seen with them tying up. Yeah. Get like 10-15 minutes. She was just doing that on there. I got a nice match cut opportunity then because he put the bow on the dog.
Yeah.
So she's tying it on, and then you see the bow and the dog tying it. It takes you from outside back to inside, but it feels natural because you've got this bow tying thing. So stuff like that I quite like, but some venues you get there and it's all set up. So I don't need to worry about that. It's kind of done and dusted. To be honest, the ones where I get the best stuff like that is usually an outdoor ceremony because they usually hang on doing it till a bit later, don't they? Just in case it rains. So, but I won't sacrifice bride or groom. Like, if the bride's going in the dress and they were doing something else, then whatever that else is the bride's priority. Yeah. Same for the groom.
No, it was interesting to kind of like watch. I mean, obviously, like you said, I mean that's only like 15 minutes. But you've obviously covered like quite a lot within that 15 minutes to make it seem like you were there for longer than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I shoot a lot in prep. Like I would say 50% of everything I shoot is prep. Just so I've got because I like the 20-minute film to have this like build. So when they get there, you feel like you've earned it. You know, it's like an emotional high in the film. Like we use music that really builds, but everything's going along with it, and you're hearing all these like the vows and stuff, so you know it's coming. Well, if I can like create the tension, often you do get tension, don't you? The bride will look nervous, the groom can look nervous, so you can build all that in, and then for the second half, I just want laughter and fun and energy. But that first bit, I don't mind it being a bit having a bit of tension. But yeah, I do about 3 hours. I don't know what you guys do. I don't know if that's 3 hours sounds about right. But
3
I
hours.
do about 3 hours of prep.
3 hours before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say probably 2.5. I'd probably try to do less as time went on. I mean, I would think when I first started, I'd be like there 3.5 maybe, and now I kind of think because I do like a little bit of prep, but I'd say over like because I do like a 15-minute film, I'd say maybe like. It's maybe preps, maybe like about 3 minutes of that, maybe. So it's not like massive. It's not like a huge part for me, but I still want it in there just to, for the story. But yeah, probably about 2.5, I think.
I started at 3 and then went down to about 2. And now I'm creeping back up to 3 because I found the times when I've noticed a lot of, ever since we've started doing this podcast and we're getting people on, the consistent thing that I love about the videos that I see is the patience and the extra detail that, like, we were watching the 3-minute teasers, but we can see how much you're getting in that 3 minutes, like how long it takes to get each of those sections put into that. So, because we've got a videographer, we can see the work that goes into that. And I've loved seeing all of this extra behind the scenes stuff. Yes, it is all about the people, but you're right. The florist is something that someone spent hours deciding over, and normally they don't get to see any of the work that actually goes into that. And when they tell you in the call why they booked you, it's to see everything that they couldn't see. So I am more keen now at getting there earlier and capturing all of this stuff. And it's amazing how quick the time goes in the morning before a ceremony. Like, you arrive at the venue, you get your bags and stuff out, and you bring your tripods into the room, and you realize, oh Christ, I've been here for 25 minutes. What the hell? Like, I'm running out of time. So I'll be arriving from 3 hours. Definitely from now on.
I mean, as a photographer, I was like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I thought that was way too much. Yeah. And I didn't really care about prep as a photographer. I always thought, well, it's nice to get a few shots, but I'm not overly fussed. The rest of the day is more important. If I wanted to keep my life super simple, I would have stayed as a photographer, because I've added so many hours into like editing, shooting. Yeah. But I think it helps me like settle in a bit. I've also got a bit more time to set stuff up, because it just, as you guys know, it takes a little bit longer, doesn't it, to set up for ceremonies and stuff like that. And obviously, if you throw a church into the mix, you need a little bit more time there as well, or a different venue. But I do like that. I do find that I'm just a bit freer. I can film the tighter stuff, which I enjoy. I like to sort of like tight, medium, wide everything. So I've got options in the edit then that I can stay on tight hands, or I can move to a wider shot of the room. I like that flexibility to be able to like vary what you're seeing on screen as well, because one of the things I like to be surprised each time the frame changes, so something's moving in the frame all the time. Whereas if everything's kind of shot at the same height, I think it's easy then as a viewer to sort of lose a bit of interest. I am aware, because I asked my wife, and obviously, I'm like, if you're on Instagram and you see a wedding video, what is it you're bothered about? She's like, I just want to see the bride in a dress. And I'm like, oh yeah, my films don't really do that. So I am aware that I might need to like tweak how I approach social media and probably start showing more of the stuff that they want faster, because you've got 3 seconds, haven't you? That's your lot.
Yeah.
I've got to get over, I think Andy covered all this last week, you've got to get over yourself and like your art and what you think, you've just got to give the people what they want on there. But I do tend to get clients that tend to appreciate that approach. And I think like if you watch, you know, I love a lot of like the expensive TV stuff, Succession, The Bear, Sopranos type stuff. They use a lot of tight shots to establish stuff in those, you know, in film as well, lots of tight stuff. So I quite like that because it feels like I'm like being all arty and stuff.
Yeah.
But when it then gets to the actual wedding, you're kind of restricted then, aren't you? You've kind of got to, I mean, I do tight shots in the ceremony, but I have like 2 locked off cameras that have got everything done, and I'll just film at an 85 then to get like, you know, if they're doing the vows and stuff like that, I'll do over the shoulder shots to get like really tight stuff of that. But generally the rest of the day then I've kind of then got to film it. You can't do too much of that stuff because they kind of want to see the faces of all the friends.
Yeah. You mentioned something in that I remember the first time I heard the term tight, medium, wide, right? And I know a lot of videographers out there will know exactly what we mean by that. But I remember the first time I heard it, I was in a workshop, and even though I knew what it meant, I'd never actually thought, oh, you know, actually that would actually be really helpful to think before you do anything. And I know it's changed the way that I film going forward. So just for anyone that maybe hasn't heard the term tight, medium, wide before, could you just elaborate on what that thought process is for you?
This is where you find out that I'm totally blagging it. So if there's anybody who actually knows what they're talking about, I'm gonna out myself. I try and get 3 shots of the similar sort of action from the same position. So usually depends how, if you're walking at the room, I'll start with a wide establishing shot so you can see the shape of the room where everybody is. It's, you know, you've established where everything is. Then get a medium, so we're roughly showing a slightly tighter version of what I want to show. So for example, makeup, they're doing they're putting the brushes and they're doing all the face stuff. So I'll get a medium, so you've got like still the bride and the makeup artist in the shot. Then the tight is like just the brush in the hand. So I want those 3 different takes. So then when I'm moving from makeup to a bridesmaid having her hair done, I've got the same thing, and I can opt to go, well, I can go from a wide to a wide, or I can go from a tight to a wide. I've got some variety in that edit to keep it visually interesting. There might also be like match cut opportunities, you know, that they're positioned the same place in the frame. So I can cut from that person in the frame to another person, but in the same portion. Kind of the same with the grooms as well. And then I'll try and sort of, rather than jumping all around the room and just getting like totally random angles all the time, is move incrementally around. So as the edit progresses, it makes sense that does that make sense? I've just done that on camera, I move around, but you move as well. So, and each time I'm trying to take a step back for a wide, step one in the middle for a medium shot, and then a close shot. You can't always get it because sometimes the makeup bit's done by the time I've moved across for the tight shot. But generally, it just gives you options. I do exactly the same with the drunk reception, the same with dancing. Wide shot, medium, tight. I've got 3 options of each thing that I'm seeing for the edit, so I can vary what you're seeing in the frame to keep it visually interesting.
Yeah,
and it is something you see in TV and film a lot. They'll obviously take wide shots when you're showing isolation and tight shots when you're showing emotion. We're dealing with an emotional day, so I quite like to shoot stuff quite tight.
Yeah, the biggest thing for wedding videographers is to give yourself options in the edit. Like when I started, I had only been second shooting for years, so I'd never really edited anything. So my thought was get as much as possible, but not necessarily the same stuff, just so many different shots as possible, because I hadn't seen the edit and know that I'd really appreciate like something closer in at that point. So I think it's just something for anyone that's starting out to lock that in early. If you are taking a shot, don't just walk away from that shot. Get an alternative angle or closer in on that shot. It will pay dividends in the edit for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Often the things that you shoot, you think, I'll never use that. Once it's then on the screen when you're editing, it has a whole different value then, doesn't it? Sometimes you think, I thought that was going to be shit, and actually I'm going to use that now because I get it. You know, the back of the screen or whatever you've used a monitor, it's not the same as it is when you start looking at there. So sometimes I'll shoot stuff and I think, I will never ever use that. And then that ends up in the edit. It's just give yourself more options. And just makes life a little bit easier. Obviously, the more experience you get, the more you start to know that I probably won't use that, and I start to know what I need. But
Yeah.
Carpet bombing early on, just give yourself tight, medium, wide all the time. It's John Boy that gave me that very early. He's like, tight, medium, wide, everything, you'll be all right.
Yeah. So we'll have a little bit more from James right after this quick break. Let's talk about backlog.
Woo!
Editing piles up fast and is overwhelming.
That's why we use brideandgroom.video, a wedding editing company that delivers stunning wedding films faster without compromising on quality.
If you're looking for an editor that's going to match your unique style so it feels like you've made them, you've found them.
Use code TWVP75 at checkout to get £75 off your first order and try out their service.
Clear your backlog and grow your business. Try brideandgroom.video today.
Hasta la vista, backlog. So, James, you are now officially a TWIA judge for 2026. How does that feel?
I mean, I've entered TWIA right from when I first started. My wife said when I just started as part of the marketing stuff when I started, she was like, win an award. People love anything. She booked our suppliers because she'd found people who won awards. So she went, just win an award. I found this one for you. It's called the Wedding Industry Awards. It's 50 quid. So I entered it, never expecting to win it. And I've entered it every year because it was really good marketing. It didn't matter that you didn't win it. If you got shortlisted, or I'd generally get inquiries off the back of it, certainly as a photographer, sort of the first 4 or 5 years. I never got close as a photographer. There was, in the Northwest, there's insanely good photographers, but it was nice to go every year, catch up with everybody else.
Same
got to
for
start
videography as well, to be fair, in Northwest.
Well, yeah, I found the same then when I moved to video. So I obviously got to know Damien over the years as you go in every year, and moved into video. And then Jeff, of course, is also a judge. So he was really useful when I was going through the mentoring with Jeff. He'd sort of talk through what are the things that judges look for, what matters to him, what's important. And I guess I thought, well, I can't keep going at it forever. You can't keep entering forever. There comes a point where you just need to let other people have a go. I mean, not that I was winning every year, but you want to let other people come in. But I thought I've done really well out of business from it, and I'd like to stay involved. So a couple of years ago, I think it was the night that we first met, actually, Danny, when we were at Mitten Hall, when I didn't win, and obviously I took it really well.
He wasn't happy.
And it wasn't not happy that somebody else had won. Yeah. It was just that I'd not, because I'm horribly competitive. We don't play board games in our house because I'm not allowed. So yeah, I was chatting to Damien that year, and Damien sort of said, would you ever be interested in judging? And I was like, I think I want one more go at it. I think I want to have, because I'd won the year before, so I got to go to London. It's the first time I've ever been to London. I loved it. If you ever get a chance to go, the London event is it's amazing. The regionals are fine, but the London is they do an incredible job. So I was like, I want one more go at that. And then no matter what, if I won it or I didn't get anything, I'll probably get back in touch with you. And then that was last year. So last year, I didn't get anything last year, and I came away and I was like, right, I think time to step on the other side. Messaged Damien, and he was like, yeah, welcome on board. So I think it's just nice to be part of something that's helped me in the past. And I think every year I've always thought by entering, it's helped, again, the accountability word coming back. I've always thought this wedding could be the one that I enter. So it then pushes you to try new things and just make sure everyone is really good. The edit, you're thinking. So I've always felt like it's made my films I've worked hard on all of them, because each one I'm because I never know. You always got to, the one that you thought you were going to enter is in the end isn't the one that you enter. It's a surprise one just appears. But I think that's because you push yourself. So I would always advocate for people to enter. It's not really about winning. Again, I don't think winning makes you better. I think it's entering that makes you better, because you have to push yourself to do something better than last year, or do something different, or try and polish up and try and improve. So, I mean, hopefully that mindset's ingrained in me now. So now I'm not entering anymore. Although we have got the British Film Festival.
Yes, we do. We do.
So of course I'm going to be entering that. I've got my ticket, so I'll be going to there in February. So I'm keeping that competitive side and that like pushing myself by entering that, but this time I've now got to sit on the other side. I'm currently in judging now, so I've got, you know, I think I've got one region left to go through. So, and it's interesting going on the other side and seeing things from the judge's perspective. So
yeah, I can imagine like watching that many wedding films. I guess when you're doing it from a judging perspective, it's different than just watching it socially. Like sometimes people will watch wedding films maybe for inspiration, or if it just pops up and something is a bit different. But when you're watching it as a judge, there's obviously things, because you'll have a taste of what it is that you like, and there's so many different wedding videographers there. I always felt sorry for people that had to go through mine and they were like, what the hell is this nonsense? But there'll be certain things that you're looking for. But I guess in terms, obviously TWE is now closed now, so we're in judging and stuff. So, but if anyone, or even for a soundbite for the future, what are some key things that judges look for when it does come to wedding films?
So I have to divorce my personal style and personal taste a little bit from the judging, because you can't come in and think like, well, I want everything to look like my films, because that's not, you know, that's not how the wedding world works. So I think from my side, the biggest thing, and again, you know, I know it's like it's the Jeff Wood love him, but Jeff said his biggest thing he looked for is, would he book this person to shoot his daughter's wedding? Well, I've got 2 girls, so it's a really simple, you know, do I get that feeling from this that I would like to see my kids, when they get married, this person do it? So I think that's like a nice place to start, because that's your client view, if you like.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they're looking, thinking, do I see myself in this film? But then, of course, you've got to go down, you know, it's got to be technically sound. You know, if there's glaring errors or like just bad edits and stuff like that, that obviously is a large part of it. And I think the biggest thing from my side that I've got from looking this year is, if you do something that's slightly different, that stands out. You know, if you're going to do something that's perhaps not what everybody's doing, really commit to it, like do it well, and that's interesting to look at from a judging perspective, because you sort of end up in this sea of like, and this isn't a criticism, this is the industry, this is how it is. Wedding films generally across the board can look quite similar, can't they? You know, we're filming a similar event, that same things happen all the way through, and a lot of people got similar styles, a lot of people are influenced by, you know, the same sort of people. So there's one or two humour. I quite like a bit of humour. If someone's dropped a good joke in there, that makes me laugh. Anything that sort of can make you just think, that's something I've not seen before. Mm-hmm. That's quite interesting. And I know that's a bit vague. Being technically proficient is really important. Having a little bit of humour, if that's your style, and you can make it work, that I like that. Obviously, good use of, you know, pace, storytelling, your narrative. I guess one of the big ones is, if you are entering, stick a couple of 3-minute films in as well as the 8-minute ones. Because from a judging perspective, when you're viewing, I don't know, I can't even tell you how many I've looked at. It's felt a lot. 8 minutes is a long time. You know, if you've put 3 8-minute films in, that's like, right, we're here for half an hour. You know, I'm just gonna bed in. But it also shows versatility as well. If you put one of your longer films in and you put a shorter film in, because you do edit them differently, you'll have different styles, won't you? So you can sort of see how you can. I know some people don't do shorter films, and that's fine. But if you know, for those that do, give us a little look at those shorter films as well. There's some people who will only stick Instagram films in, you know, the 1 minutes. That again, you know, the beauty is you can go on their website and have a look at their longer films. But it gives you an idea of like an overview of how what you can do with the different sort of formats now. Yeah. You know, 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 8 minute. I think, you know, it's interesting to see a little bit of variation as well in how you do those edits. So that kind of stuff, yeah.
And with this, I guess you would have seen a bunch of new people come into the industry. Like, has there, obviously you don't need to name drop or anything just now, but the new talent that's come on the scene in the industry, like how is that, how is the new talent looking essentially this year compared to some of the regular faces?
It feels a bit like this year a lot of the regular faces they've sort of moved on. So like the Northwest There's a few guys that aren't in this year that have been in every year for the last few years. So you've seen, I mean, I don't judge Northwest, for example. I've only seen the list of who's in it. But I've seen the names, and there's a lot of new names appeared there. There's same across the board. Generally now, like, I think we've all covered it. The barrier to entry is a lot lower, isn't it? Like, people get better a lot quicker. You know, maybe when I first started, you needed first 2-3 years to sort of start to find who you were. Now you're on a workshop, you've done an online course, you've gone and bought and listened to the people who are like at the top of their game, and you can buy their online stuff. People are getting real good real fast. You know, their standards are like, they've been shooting a year and they're already doing 30 weddings next year, charging good money. And the quality of their films already like, geez, you should be rubbish a year in, and these are decent, you know? So I think we've all got to like be on our game constantly, because the new guys are coming, and, you know, the standard's decent from some of them. And some of them are doing like really interesting stuff. You know, that some things I've never seen before. There's a couple of things in this year that I've never seen before. And that's quite exciting, you know, that should mix it up a little bit, I think.
Interesting. Looking
I can't say any more.
Of course. Looking forward to seeing who the winners are. Neither of us entered this year. I think just with how busy of a year that we've had, we both kind of like decided to opt against it, just because I feel like it's something you need to give a lot of time for. You know, obviously just like try to get obviously couples to vote and stuff like that. But yeah, it'll maybe be on the cards again for.
I'd like to enter next year. I just felt this year, moving house, having a baby, lots of disruptions and things. It's not like, I've obviously been in communication with my clients and things, but it's not necessarily been the ideal year for me to think, you know what, I don't deserve an award this year. That's what I say.
You've had a lot.
It is time consuming. You know, there's no getting around it. Chasing your clients does take a bit of time, and you know, looking at your work and stuff takes time. I get that. So I was kind of the same. There was a few years ago I didn't enter for the same sort of reason. A lot of stuff was going on. We'd had a baby and stuff like that, and it was like, I can't
give it the attention it needs. You know, so yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? But one question that we always like to ask our guests on the pod, James, is, can you tell us about a time when you've had your biggest balls up at a wedding? Just to humanise people a little bit more, you know.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Oh, right.
and it wasn't that long ago. It was this year.
Here we go.
It's a new entry this year. So it's just proof that it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, how capable you think you are, how much you've learned, all that stuff. That big cock up is right there. So I was I booked this wedding last year. The bride lived in LA, and she worked on like The Last of Us and Stranger Things and Marriage Story and all these like amazing Hollywood productions. And they're coming. She's originally born in Yorkshire, so they were coming back to Yorkshire to get married in a castle. Her dad was from there. So I was like, they're bringing all the friends from LA who, like, most of them work in the TV and film industry. So I'm like, this is going to be so cool. Like, all these Americans in a castle, this is going to be the best wedding. I'm going to love it. And if you've been on my homepage, you'll see it. It's one of the films on the homepage. Because obviously Americans do amazing vows, don't they? They're like really heartfelt. So I'm like, right, cool, gets there. So everything gets set up. We're at the front, waiting for the bride to come in. The groom comes in, he does like a bit of an entrance and walks up. And he stands the complete wrong place to where he said he was going to stand, and blocks like the entire aisle from where we're sort of me and the photographer are pinned in. He's blocked the entire aisle. So I'm trying to like whisper in his ear, like, you don't need to move. You need to move. In somewhere in this like slight confusion and panic, I've tapped something on the back of the camera, and I've stopped it recording. I didn't know. I've stopped it recording. So eventually moves the groom over. And the bride comes in, she walks up the aisle with her dad, and I'm back of the screen, it's all in focus, it's tracking them beautiful. So one time through the day that I will use autofocus is when they're coming up the aisle, tracking, I'm like, looking at all this beautifully set up, and I am so good, I have nailed this. She's really interesting looking, like she's beautiful bride, tattoos, like really cool. So I'm like, this looks mint. Picks the camera up when they get to the front, moves to the side to start filming from the side, and the screen goes black. And I'm like, whoa, why is it turned off? Like, that only happens if it's not recording.
Uh-oh.
So, like, you all panic, and then I'm like, can't do anything about it now. Just hit record. Let's record the ceremony and worry about it afterwards. They go to sign in the schedule type thing. It quickly scrolls on. Yeah, it's gone off. Just as the groom's moving, it's gone off. Nothing. None of the bridesmaids, none of the bride, nothing. Nobody walking up the aisle. So I'm like, oh my God. My Hollywood bride is the only person in 12 years that I've never got a clip of coming up the aisle in photo or video. This is the only one. So it goes to the registrar and I'm like, any chance we could just get them to walk back in? Like, they're all working Hollywood. They'll get that these things happen. She went, no, we've got another wedding. So that was that. So I go and sit down. I tell the photographer and I'm like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Can't let it spoil the rest of the day. Switch off. Just do the rest of the day. Just about to eat the meal. And Dad comes over to introduce himself, and Dad's like chatting to the two photographers, chatting to them. He turns to me and said, oh, shouldn't there be a team of you guys? Like, you need a sound guy and a second camera op and your DP and all this. And he's using all the like terminology. And I'm like, oh, you sound like you know what you're talking about. Like, what do you do? And he goes, oh, I'm a film director. And I shouldn't ask this. I do it all the time with anybody. I go, oh, are you any good? Like, that's what I always do. And he said, well, I've got 2 Emmys and a Peabody. And I'm like, so I just turned to the photographer. I'm like, under my breath, like, how have I not filmed the only bride coming up the aisle from a dad who's coming up the aisle with her with 2 Emmys? So I get to the idea. He sent me some stills over. I tried to use AI to animate the stills, but I'm like, I am grasping. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm just going to hold my hand up. I'm just going to go back to the bride and say, look, I've cocked up. And I went back to her and she came back and she went, oh, don't worry about it. These things happen. Like, it happens all the time on set. We've got loads of people who've got their iPhones. Don't worry about it. I love the film. Don't worry. So of all the weddings that I could have cocked up, it ended up, I was lucky. It was the one that I got away with because they were the most forgiving. And I did get a killer. I had an 85 at the back that was on the groom.
Right.
And I got him crying when she cut across the thing. So I would have probably used that anyway because it was a more emotional cut. But I obviously didn't have the alternative. So yeah, I got away with it.
I think of all the things I would ask. Like a first kiss, I would ask to redo. Coming down the aisle again. That is a bold request.
Well, do you know, I'll be honest, I didn't want to do it. I was sat there and I'm like, it's happened, I can't do that. It's going to really expose me. But then I thought, I just went back to when I was in the cops, I used to have to be able to account for everything and justify every decision. And my brain flipped back to police mode and just went, did you explore every available opportunity? And if the answer's yes, and somebody else said no, then you at least asked, and they said no. Because the worst thing is you go to the bride, and she goes, well, if you just asked, we'd have done it again. So I was like, right, I'll ask the registrar. And a part of me inside thinking, please say no, because I just don't want to have to get up in front of everybody.
You're in a room full of people that are used to taking like 5 to 10 takes to get anything anyway. So like, it probably would have been the best room to ask.
I think I could have got a laugh out of it. I could have got a laugh saying, we've all been there. Surely we've all not hit record before.
Oh man, we actually all have done that, and I don't think I've missed the bride coming down, but I did miss all the bridesmaids coming down. And I wasn't recording, and I realized just quickly. But I know, like, I don't know if my videographer knows that I know this or not, but I've managed to assess because I've got the footage. But she didn't record my wife coming down the aisle.
Did she not?
No. So that footage isn't there, but it doesn't matter. Like, there's a wide shot, there's a side shot, there's photos. Like, she absolutely killed the edit. She used the photos. Like, I kind of assessed at that point that photos were being used instead in the edit than that she used from my photographer of her coming down the aisle. It just looked so sick with the click, click, click from the photos. Like, there's ways out of this things, you know. If you miss
I did consider that, and I'll tell you what, the AI, the stills that the photographer Dan gave me, the AI did not a bad job of animating. It just did a horrible job of a face, which is kind of critical.
Oh man,
it'll get there eventually, though, I reckon.
Oh, have you seen the new Sora app?
No,
it's not in the UK yet, but Case and I started a video on it.
Sora.
Yeah, Sora. It's basically TikTok but AI. It's basically on ChatGPT. You just type what you want. The results look ridiculous. Like, this is going to change everything. Oh. If you are missing a shot, all you need is a picture, and you can create pretty much anything you want. And
that's scary. What that is.
I'm seeing all the adverts on YouTube being made by AI as well now. Oh man.
Yeah,
it's
we're
everywhere.
not far off based on what I saw. It did, like I said, it did a pretty solid job. I couldn't upscale it. I couldn't get it to 4K. So even when I did get it, because I did a shorter version and
Yeah.
the face was fine and the hands were all fine, but I couldn't then get it to 4K, and of course it didn't look right.
Yeah.
So I just thought, you know what? But because I explained, I went through everything. She was cool about it. But
Yeah. Horrible feeling.
Oof.
Horrible feeling.
yeah,
Happens to us all.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, James, thank you so much for coming on the pod today, man. It's been awesome getting to chat to you. And yeah, I think our listeners will get a lot out of this one. For our listeners that don't follow you right now, can you let people know your website and your Instagram handle so they can follow along?
Yeah, jamestraceyfilms.co.uk, and the Instagram handle's at James Tracey Films.
Perfect.
Amazing.
But yeah, that's all we've got time for this week, folks. I've been Danny.
I've been Jase.
Oh, I've been James.
See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
See you later.